thanks for tuning in. We're Julie and Dana, two moms navigating marriage and motherhood. But this is definitely not your mom's podcast.
What's up, guys? This is Julie.
And Dana, this is Not Your Mom's podcast.
No,
and we realized that we haven't really introduced ourselves. So
I know.
why don't we tell everyone a little bit about ourselves?
All right, let's start with you, because I think your life is interesting. I mean,
Okay, well, thanks.
I mean, like your background, like the fact that we're both here in Bluffton, South Carolina, and I wanted you to share about why you picked here too, because I always ask people that,
Yeah. So,
like if they didn't vacation here when they're young.
and I never have been here before. I moved here. So, like, we lived in New York.
yeah.
I was, like, born and raised there, grew up there for 30 years, whatever. And then I turned to John one day and I was like, we need to move. Like, we need to go somewhere else, because we went on, like, vacation once and we just kind of were like, wow, there's, like, just so much more out there. Like, why are
Yeah.
we, like, staying in one place?
By the way, this is Dana 101. Every day it's
every day
we
it's
need to
something new.
do something new, go somewhere. new.
Everywhere I go visit, I'm like, we should move here.
I know.
But so we were taking it slow. We had like a 2-year plan actually, which is not like me. And we went
That's
and
like
we were
John's doing probably.
probably. And we were taking it slow and we were looking at different places, and it was kind of just like a maybe thing for a while. Like we just kind of talked about it, but I didn't know that we were going to go through with it. And we kept visiting around Charlotte area, which we really liked, but it felt very Long Island-esque.
But
And
you didn't say where you lived in New York.
yeah, Long Island.
Okay.
So it's like, very suburban, but like built up suburban. And so then one day I saw pictures of someone I knew from high school actually that moved here. And I was like, it just looks exactly like what I was picturing when I said I want to move. Like palm trees and like warm weather and
near
like
the water and stuff.
yeah, it's
Well,
just
I guess
like
you were near the
different.
water though.
We were near the water, but like it was cold. Like you were only going to
Yeah.
the water like for like
Is
2
it-
months out of the year.
Would you go to like, what's it called? Like, forgive me if I don't know the places, like Coney Island or something.
No, that's like very far and weird to go to.
That's the only thing I know. We have a big book that my friend got me from New York, but she lived in Manhattan, and it was called "This Is New York," and it like talked about all the like little
Oh, I
pockets
know.
and stuff.
I always say it's so funny because, like, whenever I name towns that we were from, everyone always laughs. Like, we lived in Ronkonkoma.
Stop it!
I know.
Wait,
have-
wait, you had to do it like this. Ronkonkoma.
All
It
of us.
sounds like Count Dracula. We should put it as a cereal box.
And, like,
It's like a
Hauppauge,
disease.
all of them are, like, Native American names. Hauppauge, Ronkonkoma, Nissaquag. Like, funny
I'm dying right
names.
now. I keep
I
wanting
know.
to say Ronkonkoma.
Ronkonkoma. So anyway, I kept saying, I need to see this place before we decide somewhere. We were even looking in Florida. Like, we were looking everywhere and anywhere.
Yeah.
I was very open, but
See, Florida. Some people want to live in Florida.
yeah, I mean, I was open to it. I was open to anywhere that was going
John,
to
I
be
thought you
warmer.
were Trevor for a second. That's why I was like, Florida.
I was open to anywhere that was going to be warmer with like less traffic
Yeah.
and lower cost of living and have like fun things still. So anyway, we came down here on our last trip. This was our last trip before we were about to move to look at Charlotte. We had a
Okay.
realtor in Charlotte and everything. We come
wow.
down here. We did a 4-hour trip here. We went
4
to
hours?
Yes. We
Why
went
only
to,
4?
because we only had 4 hours. This was
You were,
not
like,
part of the
passing through?
plan. Yeah, we were just passing through. We
Okay.
only had one day to do it.
Okay.
So we literally went to Hilton Head. We went to the beach quick. We drove around a ton of, this area.
Wait, you accepted Hilton Head as is? Like
I-
you didn't think of it touristy?
No,
Oh, good.
no, I didn't. Because compared to New York, I don't find this place touristy. And compared to New York, I don't find this place
Interesting.
busy.
So I haven't been to New York in a while, so.
When people talk about traffic here, I laugh. Like,
Well,
I
there
laugh.
is major traffic to get on the island
Yes,
at 9 a.m.
occasionally. Okay. Agreed. Occasionally going to the island at a certain time,
Or like
you
when
hit
the,
traffic.
what is it, the crossover when what are those things called? Timeshares. It's on Saturdays, my friend.
Yes.
There's like this
in the
major
summer, there's
crossover.
definitely traffic for sure.
And like, I didn't get that when I first moved here. They're like, oh, timeshare traffic. And I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah.
But then
the turnover.
I worked on a restaurant on the island and I needed to get there by like 4 p.m., open up the restaurant, do my thing. And it's like, if you didn't leave like an hour and a half, you would
Yeah.
be stuck. I knew exactly what they meant.
I know. It's just when you're on Long Island and heading towards the city, especially, there's just always traffic. Like it's
That would
very
bother
rare
me
to not have
big
traffic.
time.
Like for example, ready? We went to Brooklyn one day to see my friend's bakery that she opened up. It was 4 miles from where we were at, and the GPS said an hour and 20 minutes.
Walk,
4
right?
miles. I know. Anyway, that's what I
It's
was
so cold.
saying. Yeah.
Sidetrack. All right.
So
we'll have to
back
break
to the
down your
story.
life there.
We saw this place for 4 hours. We also looked in Charleston area. We looked in Charlotte, whatever. I came here and I was like, this is it. Like, we're moving here. I
It's
made
like
the
when you know
decision.
you found the one.
Yeah.
This is it. This
Like,
is
I made the
one.
decision. I was like, and I don't know that we'll live here forever.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
always say that, like,
It's a great
everyone's
place
like,
to
oh, I'm
raise
so
kids.
glad you found your forever home. I'll never say a forever home.
Yeah, like, I don't get that either. Like, I understand, like, you put a lot of I think some people say that because they, like, maybe designed their home exactly they wanted to and stuff, but it's like, just, treat that as, like, a art creation or something and then
Yeah.
try another time. Try another way
Yeah.
for, like, a different season in your life, so
I
don't know.
agree. I mean, like, I would say it's our long-term home. It's our long-term
To raise,
plan.
like, your kids and
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm sure once the kids are all gone and
Yeah.
stuff that we'll go somewhere else.
Ditch your parents.
Yeah. See ya.
They, like, came here.
I know. So yeah, that was the story. My parents came with us because I'm an only child, and they were like, "You're not taking our grandkids." And they moved next door to us, and we had a nightmare moving here. That's a long
Really?
story, but
I
I'll try to
know.
make it short.
Okay.
It was during COVID.
Oh,
I was
right.
graduating nursing school, so like I didn't have a job yet.
Oh my
John was
gosh.
on like furloughed off
So
his
it's like
job.
my favorite part. She goes, "We came here. She didn't have a job, and he didn't have a
Nope,
job."
we had no jobs. We literally had no choice though because we sold our house already, so we had nowhere to go. So I was like, do we rent in New York where it's really expensive, or do we come down here?
Yeah.
We had money saved up, so we had like a
Good.
good savings account. But
No one
who's
wants to-
gonna rent to you with no
Oh,
job?
yeah, you have to show like your
Yes, and we
financial-
couldn't buy a house yet because that all fell through because of COVID. So we literally came here with no house, no job, the kids, the dogs. It was like a nightmare. We literally just packed the car,
Oh
and
my gosh.
I did find
Trevor
this
would
woman.
never like let
There
us
was
do that.
no other option. We had nowhere to live up there either. Like we sold our house; it was gone.
Oh my gosh.
So
But I love that about you.
and
guys.
no one was hiring because it's COVID time. It was just such a mess. So we came down here. I did have a few interviews. It wasn't like completely blind. I had a few interviews set up. I was going to be a nurse. It was COVID time. They all
Yeah, you're
needed
going to
someone.
get
So I
something.
knew
you
I'd
weren't worried, just didn't have it set in place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we ended up coming down, and I spoke to this woman, and she was like, gonna rent the house to us. And I explained to her that we needed a 1-year rental until we could buy something. Once we're down there, we'll be able to look for something. I explained to her that because of COVID, we both were out of a job, that I had 2 interviews set up down
Yeah.
here. And I was like, and I know it's a huge risk, but like you can check everything on us. Like
Yeah.
check our credit, look at my bank statements. I can pay you like 6 months up front if you want, like whatever we need to do to make
Oh my
this work.
God. Dana's baller. Over
I
there.
was like ready to go. So she was like, no, I get it. Like, I want to help you guys out. Like, I totally understand. And she was like, it's no problem. So I was like, okay, great. So I am always not trustworthy. So I'm like background checking her. I matched that the house that she owned it. I had our realtor down here go and see that the house was like legit. And then I asked, can our realtor come in and see the house? Can she like check it out quick? And they were like, well, they have a kid. They don't want anyone inside because of COVID. And I was like, okay, seems legit, right? Like, I get it. And no one wanted anyone near them. And especially in New York, like no one was doing anything. So I was like, okay, fair enough. I guess I just have to trust the process. We get down here. We pull into our driveway with our huge ass moving truck with all of our belongings, with our kids, with everything. And John walks in and I see him walk out and his eyes were like, and I was like, whoa, what just happened?
Where was it?
It was by the outlets. So
I'm thinking.
it was a beautiful neighborhood. The house was nice on the outside too. So he walks out and I'm like, oh God. So he goes, I don't know if you're gonna want to live there. And I was like, what? Like, what do
I
you
love
mean
that
you don't
he
know if I want to
knew.
live there?
Yeah.
So I walk in and the pictures that she posted must have been of 15 years ago because the paint colors weren't even the same. And it was filthy. Dust piled like this on everything. The rugs had like, I don't know if it was blood or wine, but there was like dark red stains everywhere. There was mold all over the bathroom.
It's like your biggest fear.
It was disgusting. Like it was inhabitable. Like that's the only way I could describe it.
Inhabitable.
It
I
was.
love that.
And we brought 2
Oh my
cleaning people with
gosh.
us, like that we hired personally.
Okay.
Even though she said she was getting the house cleaned, we always do that whenever we move into a house.
Okay.
Like I always want it cleaned up good, like a
Yeah.
good deep clean. And they said it was the worst condition they've ever seen. They were going to triple the cost because they said that's how bad it was.
Did you go there or did you immediately call her and like said no?
We're all here. This is all in together.
I know, but like, did you like try to pull out of it or did you have to stay there for a little bit?
No, I was not moving the kids in. I'm
Yeah.
like, when I'm saying inhabitable, like I'm not being exaggerating at all.
Blech.
There was mildew everywhere, black mold. Like I'm not exaggerating at all.
Mm-mm.
Then we go. So then she's like,
It's like
well,
when you find other people's pubes on the toilets.
it was
stuff.
worse. I could have dealt with that because I could have cleaned it. This was like deep
Ugh.
stuff. So then we go to the back door. There's not even a back door handle. Like it's just an opening. And I'm like, look at her, and I'm like, this is like not safe. It's not livable. She's like, oh my gosh, you're being so dramatic. She goes, a little dirt's good for their immune system. I go, this is not a little dirt, first of all. Second of all,
You just
shut
like came
up.
up with that, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, this is disgusting. Like, we can't live
Yeah,
here.
mold's good for your immune system. Try
I
tell that to
know.
the people that are
I
allergic
know.
to it.
But then at the same time, we're sitting there, and me and John are like, we don't have jobs. We don't have somewhere to go. What the hell are we gonna do if we don't move in here?
Did you go to a hotel or something?
So John tried to make some deals with her. He was like, we'll move in here, but like, can you take money off the rent and I'll fix everything up for you? Like, we were trying to make some trades. She was like not having it. She told us she was gonna sue us. Her daughter's a lawyer. She gets her daughter
good.
on the phone. Her daughter is a lawyer. And then we tell her our side, and we're like, this is what we walked into. And she goes, give the phone to my mom. And she goes, Mom, you need to let them out of the contract right now.
Yeah, because if you were to post all that shit and stuff, you'd be you would
Yeah,
never
we would have won.
You would have never had any future tenant there either.
Yeah, we would have absolutely won. So anyway, the cleaning people even said it to her there too. They were like, they're gonna win in court. Like, this is ridiculous. So anyway, she let us out of our agreement and like gave us our money back, and we went and we
Wow.
stayed in a hotel. We lived there for 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks, we both got jobs.
Yeah.
And
Did you like staying in the hotel for 2 weeks, or was it like hell because your kids were like young and it was all like confined? But was it nice?
It was fun. We had a good time. It was fun. We we made the
I
best
just
of
motioned it. Dana, I don't usually
your
drink
coffee.
coffee, but I had crazy Robitussin
Oh my
cough medicine
God.
last night, and I'm like a
Robo-tripping.
weirdo.
So
Dummy.
yeah, so that was our story. It was a nightmare. And then we ended up finding a beautiful house that we rented across from the kids' elementary school. And we got it for a great deal. It was like $1,800. It was a 4-bedroom
And the
house.
farm?
Yeah.
I love the farm.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we stayed there. And then like a few months in, we started building our house that we live in now. So
Yeah.
that was that story. It was wild.
I was entertaining.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. So it was good. What about you? How'd you end up here?
Trevor, he was already here. He moved here from his previous relationship, marriage.
Mhm.
And so he was already settled here, and we met online.
Why did they come here? Because they were in Indiana.
Yeah, so his ex's mother has a house here, and
Okay.
they would come visit, and they really liked it.
I noticed a lot of people
in
come here from
Oldfield?
visiting.
Yeah.
They like used to vacation here
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, and they were gonna like help them set up and like start their family and stuff like that. So he was already here, and I was dating online. We were dating, I guess, online. He had, been through his divorce and stuff.
What year was this?
Oh, I have no idea actually. I
Like,
can't think about like
Because you guys have
numbers
been
and
together for a
dates.
while. I didn't
Yeah.
even know online dating was like a thing back in the day.
No, I always tell people, I'm like, actually then it was more to me embarrassing to be like, we met online.
Right. There was like a stigma around it.
Yeah. So it was called OkCupid, which I have no
Oh,
idea.
yeah. I remember
It was like
that.
a free one.
Yeah.
And so we just started chatting there, and he came to visit me. I was in Delray Beach at the time. That's not where I lived most of my life, but I don't know. We just like hit it off, and I was like, well, at the time I was doing like Google AdWords, so all I needed to do is pick up my computer and go.
Yeah.
And when I was like, this is so forward of me when I think about it.
How long were you together when you said you'd come?
A weekend, Dana, 1 weekend.
What?
Yeah. We'd been chatting for like a year and a half, though, like off and on, like in and out of one of my relationships. And I even told my
Okay.
friend, like, this is so sappy and gross and annoying. I'm sure people would be like, eh. But like, I just knew though.
Yeah.
Before I even saw him physically, I just sort of knew like that he was like, the
Oh,
one I
that's
wanted to be
cute.
with.
It's
Yeah.
cute because you're so opposite, so you wouldn't think that you would
So-
like click that quick, but it makes sense.
So opposite. I never thought I was gonna get married or have children. I just wanted to join like the Peace Corps and be on my own, like have 5 billion animals. He like flipped my world and my plans upside down.
Oh.
Anyway, so I was like, I can come to you because he's like, I can't move. I have a daughter.
Right.
I'm settled, and I'm like, well, I can come to you. And he's like, okay. And so I found this little like I found a garage apartment in the neighborhood that he lived with Callie because legally I couldn't be with him.
Right.
Him and his wife ex-wife
Yeah.
set up a thing where I couldn't even spend the night if Callie was there.
Yeah.
But it worked out really well. The time was annoying, but it was so good for Callie. Like
Yeah.
and if you have children, you understand. You don't want like on both sides, you have to trust that like your ex is not being like randos dating in
Right.
and spending the night. And
You never
especially-
know. You're gonna have people coming in and out of the house. I do get
Yeah,
it.
it was
Yeah.
great, and it was good, but it also rushed our
Yeah.
engagement and our marriage too, because it was like, hey, we kind of knew, and we don't want this like. Anyway, so I stayed in this little garage apartment in a suburb, and I was kind of like getting antsy. I was working at a restaurant and stuff, and I was like, I left like everything to like come here and I knew no one. I'm like, is
Yeah.
this going anywhere? Like, this is so not me. But I was like having to talk to him about like, are we like going to commit, like get
Yeah.
engaged, get married, or else like I'm going to get an apartment with like a girlfriend and like live my life and we can continue just dating. Do you know what I mean? I had
Mhm.
to like kind of light the fire under his ass.
I mean, it makes sense. You changed everything to come
I
here.
did. I know. I'm like, I upended my life. Like, what's going
And
on
you
here?
only
I
met
gave it
him
some time though. Like, obviously, it was like what I think like maybe 6 months or a year, maybe actually. That
So to
we did that.
recap, you met him for a weekend in Florida and then you were like, I'll move here.
Yeah.
And
I
then you were
literally
like
went.
6 months in, you're like, are we getting married or what,
Yeah.
bitch?
Yeah. I pushed everything real hardcore. I had to move in with my parents so first for like a month just to get like my shit
Right.
organized and stuff like that. I literally in Delray, I just opened up my back door and I saw this bum like riding his bicycle and I was like, do you want any of my shit? And he was like, yeah. And he came in and took 6 garbage bags full of
Oh,
like
wow.
pots and pans, clothes, anything he could. And he rode
Oh, well,
away.
that was nice.
I know. And I'm like, it was one of the best times of my life to get rid of all the things that I thought I
Yeah.
was attached to. And I like left with some clothes. But
I always say that our moves have actually helped us declutter.
yeah. Oh, I love
Yeah.
everyone hates moving. Now I know it's exhausting.
It is.
I fucking love it.
It is nice
I
to declutter
love
because
going
things
through
just get stuck. Like, look up
things.
there. You have stuff up in their closets. Like, you
Ugh.
have stuff in crevices. Like, that's how it happens.
Yeah.
Like,
all these closed
I'm
doors.
never going through all this stuff. I don't have time for that. I'm trying to clean my floors.
Yeah. So anyway, and then I got here and yeah, that's it. I've never been to Hilton Head and
That's funny. Okay, so you came here sight unseen.
yeah. Well, I came to visit a couple times, like when we were dating. I was
Okay.
at my parents' house.
Okay.
So I did come. I didn't just come from Delray and then moved right in here without knowing. Although that's very me, anyways.
Yeah.
But I did move in with my parents for like a month, and then within that month, I think I came out almost every weekend.
And you moved from, okay, so talk quickly how you even ended up in Florida.
Oh yeah. So I was born and raised in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. My dad worked for an oil company there called Aramco, and so we were there for 15 years. There's boarding school after ninth grade, and my brother did the boarding school thing, and I was getting in a little bit too much trouble, and they did not trust me to be on my own, and so we decided to move back to the States. Did
I
high
always
school.
find that interesting though, because like obviously Saudi Arabia is a very different country than here,
Yeah.
and you had so many different rules and stuff. And like,
Oh yeah, that's
but
like,
you lived on a compound, right?
Mhm, yeah. So it's like people always say like Army brat or it's kind of the same thing. We lived on a compound. We had, like commissary and like little.
And how big was it?
I don't know like how to describe how big it
Like,
was.
did you feel like you were in like a neighborhood like this, or was it
Oh
smaller?
no, it was bigger.
It was bigger.
Way bigger,
So almost
yeah.
like a town feel.
Yes, a town
Okay.
feel would probably be small town.
Okay. And it had,
'Cause
and
there's, like,
everyone
almost,
probably
like-
knows each other, right?
Everyone knows each other. Yeah,
Wow.
I
And you went
know.
to school in that compound?
Mhm. Yeah.
And food store, everything.
yeah. Everything was there. It was kind of
So
nice. Like
crazy.
some things were crazy. Like everyone's houses were basically some sort of like townhouse-ish kind of feel, and
Okay.
there was only so many different like models. So I always talk about this with other people. I didn't really understand like the status of wealth in between each family because no one really drove fancy cars because it gets really weathered from the sand and
And
the
you
heat
also
and
were
the
just driving
humidity.
in a little area.
Right. Everyone had shitty cars. Most people's houses were all the same.
Right.
And so we didn't really know like if someone's family was like wealthier or less.
That's kind of cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's such
I
an
mean,
interesting concept.
there is a billion things I could talk about that what it was like there that was different here, like culturally,
Yeah.
Like, I guess we can talk about it another time, but I don't know. Like we had
And
more
were you allowed off the compound at all?
Yeah. And we
Okay.
didn't at that time have to cover our hair or anything, but you couldn't wear like shorts and show your shoulders and stuff, really. You had to
Oh,
kind of
okay.
respect their like
Yeah.
rules.
You were going,
But
yeah.
women can't drive outside the compound. So we'd have to get like on a bus if we wanted to go downtown or anything, go shopping.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I know. There's a lot of things. We couldn't sit outside the compound. We can't sit in front of males. There's like a separate eat. There's a separate eating section.
I find it interesting that you grew up with all of those rules,
Yeah.
and yet you like don't have any of that mindset. Like you're just such a, it's
Yeah.
just funny.
What you don't know, I didn't know any better. And there was like prayer calls
It was your
sometimes a
norm.
day. There
Yeah.
was like mosques and stuff for people to go pray, like in the middle of a soccer game. If it was Ramadan and prayer call went out, you would just stop the game so they can have their fasting break. I don't know, get into the airport, off the plane. It was tea time or something. They would literally be in the middle about to stamp your passport and just get up and fucking leave. And you would have to just wait there until they're ready to come back or whatever. It was just,
Wow.
there's just so much.
yeah, a lot
mean,
of
there's
differences.
just a lot of differences, but I didn't know any better.
Yeah. So how old were you when you moved to the
like,
States?
I don't have a hatred about how they're treating women poorly and stuff, and I did those sort of things. Now I wasn't, Muslim or Saudi or anything, and
Right.
had to go through it from like child to adult and go through those culture differences or go through their culture and feel like I wasn't able to live the life I deserved. But I did have to do some of the customs, but it didn't make me think anything less. I just did,
You just
and it didn't.
yeah.
I don't know.
Like you said, you didn't grow up in it in that sense, and like you didn't have to do like adulthood as a woman there. So who
Right.
knows
I'm sure
how you
there's
would
a
have felt.
Oh,
Yeah.
I totally get their perspective. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know because I wouldn't, but I got glimpses and had to do it, and I
Yeah.
didn't think anything of it, I
Yeah,
guess.
well,
Because
you
people
were
always
born
say,
there.
like, how did you feel about
Yeah.
having to cover up or having doing these things? I'm like, I don't know. We just did it.
Yeah, I feel like at that age though, you don't question much. You
You
know,
don't.
like you
That's
kind of
true.
just go with the flow,
Yeah,
and
kind of
you're
resilient, just whatever.
How old were you when you moved back here?
15.
And was it like a culture shock to come back?
Not necessarily, because they did give us a vacation once a year, and we'd come to the States every summer for like a good month and a half.
Okay.
You would go wherever your family was, right? My mom's Peruvian, so most of her family's in Peru, but she had like one aunt, and then of course my dad's parents live in the States, so we'd come every year. So I had an idea,
Yeah.
but yeah, I went to like public school, and it was like, I don't know, it was crazy. Like there's so many cliques and like gangs and like
Yeah.
crazy shit, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quickly
So
got in
funny.
trouble again.
Oh my gosh.
I remember when I saw got inside like one of the yellow buses, like I was like, what is this? Because like
Yeah.
we had like on our compound was really nice. Like I think they were trying to provide for you because they're like, you're living on a fucking desert, you know
Yeah.
nothing. There's weird rules. It's like no alcohol. There's certain food and stuff that like you're just missing out on. You're missing out on your friends and
Wait,
family.
no alcohol?
No alcohol.
Did people have like little
Yeah,
prohibition
they make
things?
it. Well, they make their own. Like my mom made her own wine, and there was this stuff called like Siddiqui. I think it means my friend, which they like sort of let us Americans like come up with this like disgusting it, like 180 proof like clear liquid alcohol,
my
and we would sip on it as
gosh.
teenagers. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, but yeah.
Wow, so interesting.
So interesting. Anyway, they had like pools, golf courses, soccer fields, tennis courts, extra like there was places or like youth centers and stuff for like the kids to go to and play and stuff. So we extracurricular activities, which is probably why my kids are heavily involved in extracurricular activities, was huge there. There's
Yeah.
nothing for us to do afterwards. Not like any of us could go get a job at 15
Yeah.
or I don't know. Oh, it was mostly the men that worked. So like all the moms weren't working, like 90% of them.
Yeah.
There were some that could or had a contract of some sorts. And a lot has changed probably from
Oh,
way
yeah,
back then till now. So
probably, yeah.
I'm just speaking from my
I even remember
experience
growing up
then.
a lot of I mean, there were working moms for sure. I think that like that was kind of the 90s was kind of the time that started to happen, but I feel like there was also like a lot of stay-at-home moms.
Probably, but my mom was more educated and had a better job than my dad before he came, and a lot of the moms there were as well, and they chose to
Right.
stop working to have this experience instead because it was good money. The
Yeah.
insurance is crazy. You don't have to pay for rent, electricity, or anything. They provide like everything for you.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's go to this other country. Their plan, like I think everyone else's parents' plan was, let's go there for like 4 to 6 years, save money. And my parents ended up staying there for like 20. So
That's wild.
or 50. I don't even know how long they stay there now. My brother's like 3. But yeah, it was pretty. So anyway, really like nice kind of on the compound things, but they were just trying to make it nice where as an adult,
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't
Well,
have
they
been that
probably-
much
you-
fun.
Well, yeah, they need people to work, right? And they
Yeah.
need people to stay there. So if it was
Yeah.
terrible, people are going to be like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I know.
So
So there's just a
interesting.
bunch of
It's cool.
wild stories, but yeah.
Would you move to another country with your kids right now?
It's interesting. I did so much traveling. I've been traveling since I was like born.
Yeah.
My parents were big travelers. You would think that would put the travel bug in me. Like that's all my mom wanted to do, which is why my dad took the job. And every time that they paid for our vacation, they would like turn in some of that. I think they would give you like a better airplane ticket or like something for like your hotels or whatever. And they would use that money and hit different countries and travel less expensively.
Mhm.
And so we bopped around everywhere. So I've been to a lot of places really young, but I just didn't appreciate it because I was like, okay, I'm in a museum and I'm like 6 and I'm like bored or whatever. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I would die for that now. But anyway, I always told myself once I got back to the States, like I wanted to settle. I was so tired of traveling.
Right. Yeah, I
It's
could see that.
bizarre. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to shuffle and pack and go through customs and airplanes for 11 hours and 9 hours, and things are
Yeah.
different now where the technology is better and stuff, but then it kind of wasn't, and it was, I don't know. So I definitely tell Trevor all the time, like, I want to pick up and go somewhere, but we do have a lot of luxury here in the States that,
Yeah.
like, other countries, there's weird rules and
Yeah. I
things
think
like
there's
that.
pros and
So
cons in so
yeah,
many
there's
different
pros and cons, but I
places.
would definitely at least for a year or 2 or 3 or something, just to have that
Yeah,
like,
experience.
well, I think it's amazing to be in another country and like culture your kids.
Mhm.
I mean, there's only so much you can read about it, but when you're living,
Violet announced to me yesterday, she was like, "So I really hope that you," she's 7, by the way. "I really hope that for my birthday this year, you surprise me with airline tickets to Hawaii, and then we can go to Japan." And I was like,
girl, I'm going to Japan with
um,
you. I want to go.
"That's what you want for your 8th birthday?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "The food looks so good in Japan." That's the only reason she wants to
Should I
go.
eat sushi? Oh yeah, they do eat sushi.
Oh, she wants to go. She likes the Japanese street food that she sees on the
Yeah.
videos.
Oh, yum.
She goes, "I've always wanted to fly first class."
I don't even think. Have you ever flown first class?
No!
Neither have I.
And I tell
My
you, her
dad
8th
did-
birthday isn't going to be flying first class.
Oh my god, my dad did put me on my last flight leaving Saudi. Was actually really sad. I was he let me go to Norway first to visit my best friend. Her parents were teachers, and that's what, and so like teachers at the time, you can obviously go to different countries and make more money, right?
Mhm.
So they had their next destination was Norway. So he let me fly business class from Saudi to Norway, and I thought it was the shit. This is a funny story. And in other countries, once you get to Europe and stuff, by the time you're 18, you can drink.
Mhm.
So I'm in business class. She's like, "What do you want to drink?" And I'm like, "A rum and Coke."
Ugh.
And I'm like 15. She's like, "Okay." And she got for me. So I ended up having like 5 of them.
Oh
When I
my
got off, I
God.
was drunk and like sick. And Jackie's mom like went to pick me up and was like, "Not good."
Oh my God.
I
That's so
know.
funny.
I know. I was like, "Oh yeah, I can order alcohol."
My cousin moved her family to Switzerland for
cool.
like 10 years. And it was the same thing.
10 years?
Mhm.
Okay, that's I guess really doing
They
it up.
I guess her husband's job asked them to move there.
Yeah.
And it was they rented the house for them and stuff, and they went over there. He makes really good money, so I'm sure they gave him quite a lot more to go there. And she's also very much like that too, very worldly, very like wants to have new experiences. So she had 3 young kids at the time, little. They were young. And they all moved over there, and she lived there for maybe even a little longer than 10 years. I mean, her
That's
kids went
so
through
cool.
school there. Like her
But the school's amazing. I know the school in Saudi was amazing because I was like, I'm not good at school.
They went to like an English speaking school, like
yeah.
I guess an Americanized one. But I don't know everything. And she was saying it was such a shock for them to come back here because same thing, they grew up there until they were 17, 18, but they all want to go to college here. So that's why they all
Okay.
moved back. But like her daughter, she was like, me and my daughter have been like going out to lunch and like drinking wine since she was 16.
Yeah.
Because there it was 16 for wine
Yeah.
and beer.
Yeah.
And she
My
was
mom
like,
always had wine on the table. And let
yeah,
me
and
have
she's like, and
some.
all of a sudden we come back and like they ID'd her. We ordered it without even thinking, and they like ID'd her, and she's like 17. They probably were like looking at,
Yeah.
like what the hell?
Yeah.
She's
No,
like, it
I
was
think
just so interesting.
I don't
Prostitution
know.
was legal there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
Amsterdam-
things.
Amsterdam's a good one, like the red light district.
Yeah.
See them in the windows.
So I don't know. It's interesting. I would definitely. I mean, if John ever, I don't know what I would do, but I think if like we ever had the opportunity to, I feel like it would be a hard thing to pass up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think my parents were brave. Like,
Yeah, it is
when
brave.
I envy that.
Yeah.
That, and especially my dad. He's a small town, like, guy that wants to be near his family, and he's very like home oriented in that way. For him to be brave enough to get up and
Yeah.
move at the time,
Especially
to
back
a
then when you
Sou-
didn't have
No, that's what
like
I'm saying.
contact with people
this
easily.
is like
And
really. I think they left in the really late 70s.
now people research like a hotel that they're going to stay at for
yeah,
3
you can
hours.
do so much research. They just are
So
like,
funny.
let's go. They left everything to
Crazy.
go to another country, and not just any country, Saudi Arabia
Right.
at that time. Like, I just think they were so brave. Like, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
Because we also
cool.
got attached to our cousins and grandparents. That was another thing I missed out on.
Yeah.
I didn't get attached to any aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. Of course, we try to like visit them all, like when we got back to the States, and I'd see them for like a couple days, like once a year or
Right.
whatever. And the communication,
Yeah, that
there's
is
no, like,
interesting because I grew
FaceTime
up
or-
with like my family, like real
I know.
close.
But it made my friends my family.
Mhm.
So I still keep up with a lot of my Saudi friends. Like, they are literally, when I talk about, like, we don't just say sisters and brothers, but they're like my family. And
Yeah.
their parents were
Yeah.
my family. So
Yeah.
made us close in that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I even feel like that happens down here a lot. A lot of people down
Yeah.
here have moved
Yeah.
away from their
They've
family.
been
And like I know that happens in our community a lot too. Like a lot of people celebrate holidays together, like, things that you would
Yeah.
normally do with your family, you do with like your friends.
Yes. Yeah, we had to do all like the holidays and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Okay, so transitioning out
yeah,
of
let's
our
transition out.
lives,
Yeah.
I want to bring up some social media things. Okay,
Okay.
so one thing that's really big in like the mom TikTok social media world is this company called Kite Baby.
Kite, as in I fly a kite?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are, I want to say, I don't know a ton about their company because I haven't heard about them before, but I guess they're like a big company that started off social media, and like they're like a onesie pajama baby company. Bamboo.
Like little babies?
Yes.
Okay,
like
not like big kids and stuff.
no, like bamboo quality material. It's supposed to be
okay.
really good. A lot of moms love the brand.
Okay.
So, one of their employees, I guess, adopted a baby recently.
Okay.
And the baby ended up being born really prematurely and had to be in the NICU.
Okay.
And the mom, the adopted mom, was like, I need to take care of this baby in the NICU. Can I work remotely? She worked for Kite Baby.
Okay.
She says, can I work remotely for a little while? Just like, I can't, like, the baby's not doing well. I need to be with the baby.
Yeah.
And the company head said absolutely not and terminated her.
And we shouldn't even get like a maternity leave and an extended.
And meanwhile, I guess her like her job was very doable remotely too. So like she didn't think anything of it by asking.
Most things are these
Most
days.
things are. So this just shows you the power of social media, which I think is so cool. That's kind of what I'm getting into. Well, she tells her story on TikTok. And she's upset, and she's talking about how she lost her job with a company that is based off making baby products.
Yeah.
Terminated you for having a baby that was in need. Like, I just feel like I get jobs have to get done, but like we're taking away the person, right? So she takes to social media. Well, social media goes wild on this, and moms are like, I will never buy from this company
Kite
again.
Baby's going up in
You're
flames.
going down. Yeah. So the Kite Baby owner, she gets on and she does this apology, which is scripted. It's literally like, I am so sorry for terminating. Like, it's so blah.
Like all monotone.
So blah. So people get more pissed now. They're like, are you kidding? That's the apology you put out? Why'd you even say anything? So now they're going hard at her. So then she puts up this video on TikTok where she's like a little bit more emotional, and she's like, I'm going to go off topic.
She's all putting those tears in her eyes.
Yeah, and she says in it, she's like, I know it was wrong. Like, I shouldn't have done it, but like, I just did. Like, I don't know. There was no like reasoning really. So anyway.
Other than you're a cold hard bitch and all you care about is your company.
Yes. But what I find most
go ahead.
Well, what I find most fascinating about the whole topic, yes, the whole thing is crazy. I think that we as a society needs to view our employees as people, as human beings. But beyond that, I'm thinking about how crazy it is that social media has such power. These companies have to get their shit together because we support them. And the way that the internet works now, if you put out a story and you're like, this is what happened and this is the company I worked for, people like can band together.
This is like the new era of reviews. Like, fuck reviews anymore. You just get on social media and be like, whatever company it was, you did me wrong. And it's like, boom.
And it's probably scary on the flip side, just playing devil's advocate for the companies, because if someone does get on and tell your story wrong or make something up, right?
Yeah, like, we're totally living in an age, like even you were telling me, even my friend who's a doctor, like nurses and doctors now are getting like reviewed from like their patients and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really know that. Like, that kind of sucks. And so like you have to always be like on and trying, not that you're not doing your job, but like you're now worried all the time.
Here's my problem with that though, is like in the healthcare field, and I won't speak on my behalf, but like just in general speaking, like even as a patient, you're there to be my doctor or my healthcare provider, right? And yes, do I hope that you have some sympathy and bedside manner? Absolutely. But you're also a human being who had a day.
Yeah.
And as long as you're doing your job properly, you're diagnosing me properly, you're medicating me properly, and you're taking care of me properly. If you weren't super bubbly walking in and like all like excited and all this stuff, I don't care. You're not customer service.
No. In fact, I used to go to this one pediatrician that had terrible bedside manner for my kids because I thought he was fucking funny because he was so like, he'd even roll his eyes at me.
Oh my God.
When I asked questions. And I like live for that.
I think you should be. You're in a people job. I think you should be a people person. Think about how
annoying first-time moms he listens to and asks those same questions. And I'm not like blaming you first-time moms. That was one. And I was like, well, what about? And he's like, he would like sigh and be like, this is what you're going to do. And I'm like dying inside. Like I was cracking up. I'm like, please do it again. I think it's funny when people have the balls to be like,
yes,
shitty.
It's not customer service.
It's not. And I don't care. In fact, I liked him because he didn't fucking fluff things up. He just went right to the source, like just told me how to do it.
And you have the right to find whatever kind of doctor you want.
Yeah.
So
and like, so if you needed that, right. And I was like, I like you. No one else does, but I like you.
That is so funny.
I love it.
It's true though. We definitely are making it all very and customer service based and like, I don't know, there's everything's customer service based.
But would you
This is what I was talking about with like tips. Everyone is like, everyone's expecting tips now. Like everyone's, and I think there's a lot of jobs that should get tipped. But I'm just saying, like, I'm ready for like nurses to take out a tip book soon and be like, here you go. You
Absolutely.
know? Like,
but then you're like probably acting like,
which I wouldn't mind, by the way.
But then you're probably acting like all the service industry people where you're saying like, now you have to come in and like put on.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not saying that that's a good or a bad thing, but like you guys work so long and you have a lot of pressure. You have people's lives on your hands, and now you have to worry about now being pleasant because someone needs that.
Nurses aren't always treated like people. I mean, think about it. You might be coding someone in one room and just watched a patient of yours that you've been with for a while die in your arms, and then you're supposed to get it together and go get your patient who's asking for water or crackers, their food instantly because we're customer service based, you know? So it's like, it's hard. You're turning things on and off very quickly. And while I think healthcare industry should have feelings and sympathy and, you know, bedside manner for patients also need to think about that too. You know, like it goes both ways. Like we're all human. Well,
I think people, do you think people are getting worse? Do you think the people are getting worse and having higher expectations and demands now based off how we live, or a lack of perhaps, I'm not saying like social media is bad and everything and the phone is bad and everything, but like maybe perhaps a little less lack of that sort of human to human interaction where you have to like be careful and have like polite manners and like, I don't know.
I think it's probably a combination of things. I mean, I don't know how it used to be. I have no clue.
She's
but
all
like,
young. She's like, I'm
like,
only 30 people. Like,
but like, you know, I think that people definitely, overall speaking, not even in this field and any field, I think we have definitely lost our patience. I think we want things when we want them. I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean they're not open? You know, like
it's because or not
instant gratification.
Yeah, instant gratification.
Yeah, we're used to instant gratification for sure.
No one's used to waiting anymore.
No.
Ooh, no one is used to fucking waiting anymore.
No.
What's one place you have to wait though, and that like you just have to deal with it? DMV, right?
DMV, you always have to wait. Doctor's offices too, for the most part, but they are getting better with the
like
whole
minute
check-ins
clinics
now. Yeah,
you told me about the minute clinic. I feel like a dinosaur. I'm like, wait, what's this place that I can go in and like schedule online and be there?
Quick.
I know in bigger cities, it's like, come on, y'all, this is what we do. But like, I wasn't used to it. I thought I had to do the old-fashioned way, like make a doctor's appointment, or if I just showed up, I'm gonna sit there for like 4 hours.
There's not a lot of things you wait for anymore. I mean, for the most part, right? Food could get delivered now.
What about that saying, all good things happen to people that wait?
I know.
Like, I don't think anybody knows how to wait.
It's getting harder. And like I said, I'm guilty of it too, especially growing up in New York.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have to wait for anything.
Yeah, you just ordered everything,
That's been a change coming here. Like even when I was trying to get in with a seamstress to get like Lily's stuff hemmed, I'm like, what? Why are there hours till 3:00? Like, what do you mean I can't go at 5 or 6 or 7? Like things were open 24 hours or at least late at night. Yeah. And I know COVID changed a lot of things too. And I think it's a good thing. I don't think people should be working their lives away. I respect it, but it is a mindset shift.
Yeah.
I was
like
able
the liquor
to
stores
go.
are closed here on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And at like a certain time.
I don't know if that happened. I can't remember if that happened.
I live in Florida where it was open like all the time.
Yeah.
I think it was, or at least
but you also couldn't get like beer and wine. Hold on. Could you get beer? No. You couldn't get beer and wine in like stores like that. Like Target didn't sell that.
Right.
Where here they do.
Oh.
Yeah. There's different rules.
Yeah, there's different rules.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I definitely think that we are definitely losing our patience. And I think that it's showing. And I think there's good with it and bad with it. I think that we are, you know, on one hand, like we're coming up with alternative things to make things easier for us, right? Which is what inventions always were.
I know. But we're lazy.
Yeah, we're a little lazy.
Really lazy, and like that sedentary like lifestyle. Well, I mean, I know all of us feel like we're so busy.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're just being like totally exhausted, but then we're also like sitting on our asses a lot. I was just thinking about this, like,
yeah, we do sit on our asses a lot.
like, especially us, like, driving our kids around, like, we're like a goddamn
Yes.
taxi driver everywhere. I'm sitting in the car.
I
I take them
know.
to school, sit in the car while I line, pick them up, sit in the car while I line, sit in the car while I
And it's,
drive
like,
into this place, sit in the,
exhausting.
like
And I'm like, "Why am I tired? I've just been driving." But it's, like, so, like, exhausting.
shuttling around
Yeah.
for what?
We do that to ourselves with extracurriculars. Speaking of extracurriculars, did you see okay, so I made a post about how much my kids cost per
Okay.
year.
Oh, can we talk a little
Yeah,
bit about
let's
your
talk about it
moment? Oh, I
quick.
know. Dana's big moment. If I had one of those like blowhorns or like confetti, here we go.
Woo!
Oh, the claps when they go, yay.
Yeah.
Can
Audience
I do the
clap.
sound effect good?
Yeah, so I made this video. I made it a year ago. I made a video a year ago talking about how much my kids
Yep.
cost me, but I did a very like general one. I didn't break it down hardcore. I just kind of like generally spoke on it,
Yeah.
and it went viral. There was like 1 million views,
Yeah.
and people were commenting like all the things I missed.
I feel like, is this the only video or have you made two
I
about
did.
it?
So this was like
Okay.
last year, and I had a
Okay.
bunch of comments being like, "Oh, you didn't talk about like healthcare. You didn't talk about this."
Oh.
So this year, I made an updated
Okay.
one, and I went through everything I could think of. Like,
Okay.
I did
Damn.
medical costs, I
Yeah.
did this, I did that, whatever. So I totaled it up, and my kids cost me $53,000 per year total, like all three of them.
Sounds
So
right.
it's about what, 17,000 a kid, give or take 18,000 a kid.
Sounds right.
Okay, so now the Brookings Institute, which is like they did like a study or whatever, and the average American middle class family spends $310,000 per kid from ages 0 to 18.
Oh. Wow.
So like you would at the end of this spend between all of them $1 million. Like Callie, you know.
So
all
if
of
I
them.
had never gotten married and had kids, I'd be rich.
You'd be up $1 million, yeah. So like
No,
same.
I'm just
So I'll
kidding.
be like down $1 million at the end of 18 years, right? So anyway, we're kind of right on par with that because that works out to be about $17,000,
No wonder I'm
$18,000
so
a
poor all
year.
the time.
Right. Kids are expensive. There's the girl with the list. Have you ever heard of the girl with the list?
No.
Her whole TikTok is dedicated to making a list of all the reasons why she will not have kids, and she always like comments on
funny.
those things. Yeah. So anyway, so I make this video and I talk about it and I break down the cost, and I was like, we spend $18,000 a year on extracurriculars, and that one pisses people off. Like, people don't like that. And then like preschool is like another almost $8,000 a year.
And some people are like, they have like crazy preschoolers are like, that's not that bad.
right.
But
It was
for
very
us, when
mixed.
you have multiple children
Yes.
and your extracurriculars are crazy and you have preschool, oof, it's a lot.
It is a lot. And I got very mixed reviews. Some people were like, I spent $50,000 on one kid because of daycare costs.
Yeah.
And then other people were like, that's
probably
crazy. I
making
don't
a
even
shit
make
ton.
$50,000.
Right. Well, but some people are making enough for that preschool.
Right. So it just depends,
Justifies.
right?
I didn't even
and
put
it
my
depends what
kids,
city you
really.
live in and how expensive it is and a million things. So I break it all
Right.
down. I talk about like health insurance, how much that costs us per year, medical costs. I go down through everything. So, and then at the end, I talk about how I'm like, you could raise happy, healthy children on far more than this or far less than
Yeah.
this. Like kids need
It's
love
just like
and
what we
security.
decided to do. It's not a right or a wrong. It's just like
Right.
what we're doing right now.
Kids need love and security. But at the end of the day, I put it out there because kids are expensive and people are planning families now and
Yeah.
really taking thought into it. And it is something to think about. And it's hard to think about what kids might cost you if you've never had them. Like I wouldn't have even thought about half the things on my list that
Right.
I said. So I kind of was like throwing it out there as like if you're considering to have kids, like it's a good thing
Yeah.
to talk about budgets, and these are some things that you
Or
should
at
budget
least
for.
knowing like as two people coming in with their own traditions, their own ways that they were raised, how much
Yeah.
like they think they want to
Put
they're like
into different
okay
aspects.
spending in different aspects. But I always hear this line, which is like, somehow you always figure it out. Like
Yeah.
whether you have one kid or five, like no matter where your finances are, somehow you always figure out how to give them the best life that you can possibly provide.
Yeah, you
but
figure,
yes,
yeah, and everyone's
you-
life is going to look different.
everyone, yeah, you do.
But also, on top of it, priorities are different. And people
Right.
get so annoyed when so I talk about money on my channel because it's so taboo. People do not talk about money. We talked about this last
I
time.
know,
that
and
we
I
did
don't
a
know why. I
podcast.
would tell you everything.
Everyone's
I don't
hush
really care.
hush. Even so BuzzFeed interviewed me, and then BBC Radio
We
called
should
me.
do a post or a podcast about how much both of us make, our husbands make, how we spend, and everything. Because like people,
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't want to know.
I don't know why it's so taboo.
I think it's because you want. Do you think it's because you don't want people to know how like less financially set you are, or how much you really are? Because you think somebody's gonna judge them on that.
here's the thing. You're going to get judged for every fucking thing.
That's what I'm saying. So,
So
it's
it
like,
doesn't
might as
matter.
well like just put it up
You're
there.
going to get judged if you're in debt. You're going to get judged if you're not in debt. You're going to
Yeah.
get judged if you're rich. You're going to get judged if you're poor. Like,
And how you're utilizing
people
and
suck.
spending your money.
And
Yeah.
people care about how other people do things. It's bizarre.
It is weird.
Like, when I tell you, like, the comments are just so crazy. I had someone comment, actually, I want to respond to her.
I was
can't
gonna
wait
say,
to
like, what
respond
are
to
the
her.
weird comments that
So
people
one
put?
person
Or like,
wrote,
not weird, but just,
$18,000 on extracurriculars. Everyone's out here thinking that their kids are going to become like NFL players or Yankee players.
Yep.
Most of your kids aren't going to amount
that's
to
what
that.
right. That's okay. They were enjoying
Okay.
their activities.
Well, I
though.
already have my response in my head to her. And it's going to be a big, like, first of all, just in case you didn't know, everyone that was on the NFL or the Yankees was a kid at one point who was
Yeah.
training. So, like, not impossible. Also, though, not my goal. I'm not living
Right.
through my kids.
Me
If
either.
my kids turn around tomorrow and say, I don't want to dance, I'd have a talk with them about what that means because they put in time.
Right.
But okay, cool.
Everyone
don't dance.
sometimes need a break. I ask them every
I didn't dance.
month.
This isn't me.
Me too. I ask them every month. I'm like, do we still like it? Blah, blah, blah. You know, and I'm like, what if we took a year off?
Absolutely.
Even this morning or last night, I was just like, they walked in the door. It's 8:00. I'm just starting dinner. I went to
Yeah.
2 different
It's
grocery
exhausting.
stores. I just got done from doing Jungle Body. I had worked all day, done all my social medias, painted, pets and dogs. And I just looked at them like, y'all ready to take a break? Like,
Yeah.
let's just take a year off.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. And I'm like, just a year. You'll be okay.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
I don't know.
Like everything. from
I
all
just
of it.
think that people are so judgy, and it's like, first of all, I'll never tell my kids that they're not gonna be able to do this professionally because who freaking knows if they
Who
will.
knows? I'm not gonna. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they're gonna be a professional like dancer in the sense of like NFL level
That's
type
right.
thing. Maybe they'll become dance studio owners. That's a
Dance
very realistic
instructors.
thing. Dance instructors.
Or they can work for a dance company like Capizio or
Yes.
Block or
maybe they'll like work and go on
Conventions.
Broadway one day.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so
conventions.
many things that
they
aren't
could teach dance at like
impossible.
YMCA and stuff like that. They
Yes.
can be what I do, which is a fitness instructor, because I can move to the beat of the music and I can
Yeah.
work with choreography. And so like I implemented all my years of dance and I'm like a fabulous fitness
Absolutely.
instructor. So
And regardless, to me, I'm not just spending $18,000 a year on them dancing.
now
right?
let's
I'm
break it down
spending
why we think it's so important.
Right. I'm spending it because I want them to learn how to be team players. I want them to know to have goals and work hard
Yeah.
and get to that pride of like
Yep.
waiting, right? That maybe that's a place that they actually have to wait.
You do.
They have to
for their
practice
progress.
something over and over and over, and
And
it
over
could
and
take them
over and
a
over and
year to
over.
get it.
Some
Lily,
of
it
them
took like
get
a
it.
year to get a back walkover.
Right.
She had to work every day to do it, and then finally she got it. And it's that pride you feel and that ability of knowing,
Mhm.
wow, like I can do hard things.
I can do hard things.
You know,
Yeah.
and learning how to be a team and learning how to cheer for people and not be assholes online.
And deal with all sorts of emotions.
Yeah.
And that aspect of being on a team.
Yes,
There's
learning how to win, how to
competitive
lose.
jealousy. There's coming together, camaraderie. There's friendships, and they sway back and forth. There's accountability and
Yeah.
responsibility. All of the older girls at that dance team, I would trust to babysit my kids because they're all assistants to like
Mhm.
younger kids. They help them with potty. They
They're
help them.
learning so
They're
many
just-
good
they're
life
just-
skills.
I mean, it's endless.
yes.
It really is endless. So it's
Yeah.
like my pleasure
Yeah.
to, if they want to do it,
Right.
to support it.
It also is okay if it's not in your budget. Like everyone's
Yeah.
budget's different, but if it is in someone's budget and it is something that the kids want to do and the parents
Yeah.
aren't living through them and not, like
Right.
those things I understand, but like I don't know, I just feel like it's just interesting. You say what I'm getting vulnerable and I'm telling you what I spent online and then you're like, "Oh, well, your kid's not going to be an NFL player, so like fuck that."
Well, not only that, it's like, okay, so I'm sure we can judge how you prioritize what you're doing with the
Right.
money. And
Do you have a car
Yeah.
that has a $500 payment a month on it? Because you
Yeah.
probably do. Or do you vacation or do you do that? Like, that's the whole thing. You can't judge people on what they spend.
Right. Every single
because everyone's different.
person's life and journey, their priorities and their perspective and how they're going to do life. Every single one of us is unique. Isn't
Yeah.
that weird that every single one of us
I
is
guarantee
unique to
you
its own
if-
little like universal orbit? I think
Yes.
it's cool.
And I guarantee you if most
would
people
never put
broke
someone
down
down
their
for that.
costs, we all average middle class, obviously you're going to have your, but average middle class, we probably all spend similar amounts of money just on different things.
Yeah. Like going out to eat. A lot of people order
True.
out and go out to eat.
We don't got
It's
to
the
eat
one
really
thing
much at
that
all.
like we don't
Yeah.
do.
When we do, we like go, but like we don't do it often.
Yeah, we don't do it often either. It's like, I don't know, I find it actually harder to like get everyone loaded and
I know, it's
own a
kind of
place and then sit
exhausting.
at a table and like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd rather save it for date nights at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like it's just definitely interesting, and it's funny. So
But we do complain though a little bit about
oh,
honestly,
I'm aware
like,
it's a lot of money.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, we know it's a lot, and it's not like we're like, whatever, as long as they're happy.
I don't
We
just
are
have
always
this money
like,
sitting around.
I could have a second mortgage. We always talk about that, and like, so it's
100%.
definitely a lot. It's
Yeah.
definitely a lot, but
It's a lot of money, and if you told me 5 years ago, I probably would have been like, absolutely not also.
right now that we're in it, it's
But
hard
yeah,
to.
when you start seeing your kids in it, it's hard to not. But again, like, I mean, I don't know. You just make it, like you said, you make it work.
You just make a choice.
Or you
and
don't make it work, and
or you
that's okay too. It's whatever you end up
Absolutely.
doing.
I've definitely thought about like the fact if like, one of us isn't doing well financially, it would have to be Trevor because he's mostly the one providing. But I'm like, okay, so we would just pull out,
Yeah. Yep.
try something else,
Yeah.
Yeah. Or do it at a lower level and not so extreme.
Right. There's
Or
always
whatever.
options with that too.
There's always options.
I don't know. But so yesterday, back to that, BuzzFeed did an interview with me, and then
Oh, yes. Okay.
that was just online. So
Yeah.
all of my interviews so far, I've had like a couple, like Daily News last year and like BuzzFeed, like they've all been like just email questions.
Okay.
But then I got a call from BBC,
And I always saw a little bit of that clip.
and I was like, I'm sorry, what? And they were like, we want to have you live today on the radio. So I was like, okay. So I've never done that before. So I was like legit sweating.
I
and,
know,
like,
of course.
I was
But
like
you did
bloated, and I felt like I was going to
fabulous.
poop myself. So I go on, and it was actually really interesting because we were talking about that was the topic we were talking about. That was
Yeah.
the video, and he even says at one point, we were talking about money being taboo, and he even said at one point, he's like, I'm embarrassed to even say $53,000 out loud, and I was like, see, like,
Why? I don't get it.
I don't know, but it just proved my point. I was just like,
Listen,
exactly.
we're here as humans to have our own human experience, and what does 53,000 even mean? Okay, we're here to
It
just.
means a lot of extra shifts, but yes,
I mean, but and zoom out a little bit, like,
right.
You're just here to try to accomplish joy for yourself, and then if you have a family, for your nuclear family, and however that means to you. I mean, we're literally like on a ticking time clock of where like our life ends. So
I
like,
know.
just do
On a
what you
rock.
want to do. Like, just do what you want to
Spinning.
do, no matter how much it is my opinion. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
like, not saying like we have free money, like you have to go work for it.
Right.
Go work for it, and then because
So-
you worked for it, go do what you want to do with it. Like, I don't
Yes.
understand any other concept.
He asked me that question on the radio. He said, so what advice would you give to a family who's trying to budget, who like is
Okay.
struggling with
Yeah.
it? And I said, I was like, extra streams of income. I mean, I said,
How
there
many
are
of us
so
dance moms
many options.
Are doing other things.
Right.
We are putting in like those extra hours at the studio.
Mhm.
We have fundraising stuff. We look for deals for the hotels. I mean, we should have another podcast about
I know.
that world, but
Beyond that, how many of us are working second
Yeah.
jobs? And I mean, it's not everything. And I do have days where I'm like, am I crazy? And,
No, me too.
I have those
Absolutely.
existential days where I'm like, I don't think that's
especially
the
if
right
I know
word.
other people that are not in it and
Yeah.
they're like they have the weekends off or they have the days
Yeah.
off, or like if they even knew. It is a little, I guess, embarrassing for some of the people I know, or like cousins and stuff, like if they even knew how much we spend on it. I always feel like Trevor's mom is going to judge me because I put them and he's working really hard.
Yeah.
And that we're putting that money there into that. And I don't know if she finds that as important.
Not
or,
everyone's
going to
value it. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's hard. Like you
that's
said,
maybe
it's still
where
a
I
lot
would
of
feel
money.
like a little bit like feeling judged, only because like that's her poor son like working his ass off, and I'm like, and this costed this much, but I'm trying to do my part, so
So I'm
to
saying,
help.
and we live in a day and time. I will say this: the economy is shit, right? And it's not easy to
Yeah.
make money in a traditional sense, but it is the easiest time to make money in a non-traditional sense.
Yeah.
And that's really cool, like and I said that on the radio. I was like, there are so many streams of income now. You can go and like type things online for someone. You could edit online. You could, do content creating. You could, work with a company and do an affiliate link.
Yeah.
You can start
It's
a
a lot of
podcast. You could,
services.
there's so many different things and
Yeah.
so many different ways to make money. And there's like virtual assistants and there's just ways to make it in the comfort of your home, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Mhm.
And maybe it won't be the best money ever. It might just be here and there. But like this year alone,
It's something.
we have added, my goal for 2023 was to add streams of income.
Oh, cool. That's
Because
a good goal.
it makes me nervous only having our jobs, right? Like I'm
Okay.
like, maybe we need a little side something, right?
Yeah.
So like that was my goal. And I didn't have like a number in mind necessarily, but I wanted it to be
Yeah.
extra streams. And so then I started the wedding content creator stuff, which has made me like a decent amount.
Weddings aren't going away, and people already have it in their mind that they're gonna spend a shit ton of money on their wedding.
Yeah.
So they don't even blink when you give them a rate. I'm
Right.
like, I wish Trevor would go back to like.
I wish you would too, because we could work together and we can get weddings.
Okay, well, we'll talk about this later. Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So we have the wedding content creating that I started. I did and then I told myself last November, I said I'm going to post one video every single day on my TikTok and see what happens.
I remember
And that's what I've done, and I've kept up with it.
Wait, you have like 5 million different accounts too. Like which one? Just the Lily,
The regular one.
the
Yeah.
Motherhood
The only other
Chronicles?
accounts I have is I have all the motherhood accounts,
Yes.
which I have one on Instagram, one
Okay.
on TikTok, one's
I
on
get
Facebook.
confused between which one's your
And then
personal
I have the my personal ones.
and the wedding one.
And then the wedding one.
Okay,
Yeah. I
just
know
three.
it's a lot.
It's not a lot. Just sometimes you have to segment it out. I mean, we
Yeah,
just
it's
started
crazy.
our pet one, and then I have my
Yeah.
art one, and I have my personal one.
Right.
So I get it.
Yeah. So I mean, there's like multiple different streams. I mean, that
You have definitely inspired me. I would have never.
it's so
been
funny
on
because you've
TikTok.
inspired me to do it.
Well, it's because I did it without social media, like almost like more of an old fashioned way, which is like I paint and I go to art markets and I have commission through word of mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. Had nothing to do with social media. Did I start a social media account? Yes, because that's where now I can post my paintings instead of having. I think the old school way was having like a portfolio or something like that. And obviously, I have a website where you can like scroll through, which I hardly ever update. I think most people just go right to your Instagram.
I agree.
Whatever. So I had that, but then and then like I pet sit, which is word of mouth again. Like it's just a few people, and then it like blew up.
Yeah.
It's like every day someone's texting me about if I can like.
It's crazy.
And and that's a service I enjoy to do. So those two things. But I started that pet sitting in TikTok to literally just yesterday. So I was like, wait a minute, they're here at my house anyway.
Yeah.
And they're so fucking cute. You know, like every day they're so funny. And I want to bring joy to people. So like.
And that's the whole thing. The worst thing that comes out of it is it doesn't grow much. And the best thing that comes out of it is it does.
And it does. And I'll get my
who cares?
Free kitty litter thingamajiggy.
But it literally
I was
doesn't
like,
matter.
Here's to free dog biscuits and cat treats coming up. Will it bring me
so
lots of money?
funny.
No, but like I can maybe see what will happen from here and grow and learn from it. And it's also a project that Trevor and I are doing together. So even
it's
again,
just fun.
win-win.
It's
and
just something
fun.
that's different. That's how I felt. I was like, I'm a nurse and it's really hard mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Yeah. And you're also good at you like editing. Like you enjoy all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's a little bit more challenging because I sort of don't really like being on my phone that long. Not to be like, oh, I want to not be on my phone, but I just don't get off on sitting there. Like you're like techie, like other people are techie. They're like, they're really fast on their phone. I don't have talents in other directions. Like whatever, you can do that singing thing through your mouth and like that weird thing with your tongue.
I've never like painted or this or that, so it works. But yeah, I just think, just my point being is just that there's ways to make extra streams of income, pet sitting, doing Uber Eats, dog walking. I mean, there's just so many options.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we're in a really cool time.
Yeah. Don't give up, my friend.
Don't give up. Keep your dreams strong. That's it. So my goal is to have more streams of income this year because I really think it's great because like perfect example.
And it started for you. You're already making like chunks of money every month.
And that's what I'm saying. It'll be
media.
like chunks and like.
Okay. You hear about these people are like, oh, I made, $1 million or whatever from OnlyFans. Okay, well, that's a little overwhelming. Let's start. You're a realistic person with a realistic following. You're not like crazy following, but you have a really good, and you just got like all these interviews, good extra money per month. Like, that's realistic.
It's extra. It is realistic. There are months that I make like $200 for the whole month.
I will take $200
social media wise. And then
Gladly.
there's months where I make like, I made in 2 days $1,500 on one video.
Amazing.
Like it's crazy.
Amazing.
So it just depends, you
I
know?
For the longest time, I'll say this, like I just didn't want to be, I don't know, involved with social media. I'm kind of like one of those people. And also it's also my age range too. I just didn't like, we're here, but like it took me a while to get here.
There's pros and cons to it.
No, I know. And I'm going to try to find the balance between some of my accounts now and managing and stuff like that. But like the fact of the matter is, like you said, if you're looking for money, there is opportunity because no matter if you want to be on your phone or social media or not, people are scrolling and looking.
Yeah.
And if you have actually, I was just listening to Bashar. He's like one of my weird channeling guys that I love. And the girl was saying like, I just don't want to be on my phone. Like, I think she was talking about something that she wanted to promote or like offer on social media. And he like stopped her. He's like, why? And she's like, I just think it's horrid to like be on your phone and be on social media. And he's like, horrid. And he's like, basically you're selfish. And she was like, what? And he was like, basically, you have a joy and a service and an act and a love to give and offer people, and you're not doing it just
I
because
love
you don't want to
that.
be. I know. And he's like, think about how many people you're servicing
Yeah.
through whatever you have to offer because it was your gift to offer. And for those people that need it, will. And for those people that will resonate it, will. And you've just done something for them. And for the others, don't worry about them. Like it doesn't resonate with them. They'll go to somebody else.
Yes.
So like we have all these gifts and services and energies and vibes. Like this is why we're
Yeah.
doing this podcast, because we can sit here and talk forever. We do this
Right. Why
naturally.
not? Yeah.
And some people that find us entertaining and I don't know, whatever, and can like relate.
Mhm.
That's our service and our gift and our why wouldn't we put that out there is what I'm trying to say.
Especially with our like, and I want to go back to what you just said, but like motherhood in general is so lonesome sometimes
very
and so
true.
isolating, and it's hard to make mom friends. And
Yeah.
that's kind of why I wanted to make this podcast too, because I was kind of like,
Yeah.
maybe someone, I guess I pictured in my head like that new mom that's sitting at home and she's like stuck on the couch and like the baby's
Yes.
breastfeeding and she doesn't have
Absolutely.
mom friends yet, and she could listen to us and like
Yes.
relate to us and be like, oh my God, yeah, and just kind of make you feel more
Yeah.
normalized and
Yeah. I definitely
laugh
started
and-
listening to podcasts
yeah.
after I had Styles, when I was sitting on the couch
Yeah.
breastfeeding
Yep.
and like, or in the car on the way to Target or something. And I needed, baby's crying, and like, I was trying to listen to something positive. Like, I'm not
Yes.
alone. You definitely feel alone during those times.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
But back to what you just said really quick
yeah.
before we wrap everything up. I have seen people talk about like being on social media, like as a creator, it's cringy. Like you're going to be cringy. Like
Yeah.
I look back even on stuff I posted like last year and I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe I
Oh,
posted
me
that.
too, man.
you know, like
I think
it's
terrible.
cringy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's always going to be cringy until you're not cringy because all of a sudden you're legit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and
there's always someone for everyone.
right. But I'm
Like-
just saying, like, I have a feeling you have to post, if you want to grow and become a content creator, you have to post like you're a content creator even when you're not a content creator.
Yeah.
So even with 100 followers, you have to post like
Yeah.
you're talking to a
I
million
think
people.
I have like 40.
yeah, but you have to post like you're
I don't
talking
even
to a
think I have
million
40.
if you want to grow, you
Yeah.
know? And it's hard because it is cringy in a sense, but like at the same time, the people that are judging you for being cringy, what would you watch if you didn't have content creators? Like if
Exactly.
you're scrolling and no one was making content, well then what the hell would you watch?
Yeah. I think we'd go back to shows maybe.
Yes.
YouTube.
But like I'm just saying, like you want to be on social media. You obviously are on these things. You're on Instagram, you're on
Yeah.
TikTok because you want to look at people, but then you're gonna talk shit about them, even though you're not doing it yourself.
It's part of the whole thing, though.
I can't.
I know.
So anyway,
Okay.
that's that. We'll wrap this up
Yeah.
with
Go be your
go
best
be your
self
best self.
on any social media platform and share your gift and your light to the world.
And even if it's not on social media, share it with like people. Like
Well,
be
obviously,
yourself. Be
that's
authentic.
definitely what I
Even
always want
that's
to
hard
start
though
with.
when you're meeting mom friends, right? Like I feel like a lot of people are very like closed up at first. Like just be yourself.
Oh yeah, but it's because we're like suffering, sort of.
It's hard.
We're like trying to get through the day,
It is.
and so
It's
I remember
survival
we
mode.
talked about this like real quick. I was like, "Wait, was I nice, Dina, when we met?" And you're like, "I don't think so." And I'm like, "What? No one's ever said that to me before." Because like I'm not trying whatever, but most people are like, I'm personal and I'm
Yeah.
outgoing and stuff. I'm like, I was probably like dying that day. Probably they were
Yeah.
like drowning. Like I,
don't
was
think
in
you
my
were
own
not
world,
nice.
like
I just think you were just not. Yeah, like you. It was
thinking to,
nothing.
like,
yeah.
because I was we were doing like a drop off with this like preschool, and I think that I was like
I
dying
remember
every day.
John's the one who said that we should talk.
Really?
Yeah. So our two daughters were in preschool together.
Oh, Trevor said
and-
the same thing. He's like, I think you're gonna like this one girl who's like,
Yeah.
her daughter's really good friends with Freya. And
Yes,
like,
because Freya and Violet clicked right away,
Mhm.
and they were like so similar. It was so
Yeah.
funny, and that's
but
when
it was
John
Freya,
was like,
Violet, and one other girl, and he's like, it sounded like some like witch names or whatever.
"Oh my god,
yeah, I
that's
forgot
funny.
their third
I
name.
can't remember."
And
who that was.
but when was our first time hanging out?
I don't know.
I know.
I
Have to think
actually
about
have
that.
no idea how that like all
Me too.
transpired, but I do remember seeing him at Pickup a lot, and I remember like seeing you guys, and John was like, I feel like you're gonna click with her, like you should like talk to her, and you should get and Freya and Violet get along, you guys should like have a play
Okay.
date. And that's how it all
Have a meeting?
love at first sight. No, a play date.
Oh, they
You
said a
guys should
meeting.
meet.
I know. I'm like, so sophisticated.
Get her on the
So
calendar.
formal.
Yes. So that's
All
that.
right.
Oh, you do
But-
want to know one impression? I
What?
thought you were way younger than you are. So that's a nice thing, right?
Tell me more.
Yeah, I literally thought you were like 30.
Well, that is not true at all.
Yeah. So you look great great. I mean, not that you're far off from that, but like, I totally was like, I thought you were like
Aw,
super young.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look so
I do
good.
not look good right now. That Robitussin, I'm
Oh my
like
God.
zombie. And wait, can we just do this right here? Look how much better. Look. Wait.
I know my eyebrows have been
Wait, hold on. I
drooping.
gotta
I
do
haven't
this
gotten
too.
Botox in a while.
Look. Is it? Wait, Dana, am I better now?
No,
Wait. Right here. Just right
I
here.
can't.
Just this. Look.
No, you kind of look creepy like that. You look a little shocked.
I want to look shocked.
I want to look shocked and frozen. All
Just
right.
kidding.
On that
I'm just
note,
kidding. I'm just kidding. Beauty comes from the inside.
what happened to be yourself? Be your authentic self.
I am myself, bitch. I got like blue hair and piercings and weird shit. Okay.
Yourself, yes. All right. Well, make sure you subscribe and like and share so you can see
Yeah.
more of us. And this
Do
is
your thing. Do your thing.
Yeah.
Go do your thing.
over and out.
All right. Bye.
How you make it, how you wanna.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to follow and subscribe so you can tune in next week.
Wanna,